3 quote-unquote proper kisses. Are you satisfied now? It was a job well done, and you were rewarded in accordance with our agreement. Are you finally going to stop pestering me about this? You expected more. And what leads you to believe that you are deserving of more? How long does observation usually take? Why answer a question with a question? Indeed, you could ask the same of me, however, you were the one to do it first, and I asked first. Is that so? You believe that your work was exceptional? And tell me exactly what leads you to believe this. Very well, I shall answer your question first. Though the average duration of observation is typically stated as a few days to a week, it is important to note that this time rather drastically varies from case to case, seeing as it all depends on the time between the start of the assignment and the subject's planned death. How long were we to be given? A week, I believe. Indeed. We did achieve all that was needed in a mere day, though I fail to see how you believe you deserve more for doing exactly what you're supposed to do. Oh? Inquiring about other Reapers' habits, are we? And may I ask why that is? Answer the question first. Very well, then. Most other Reapers do tend to take their time, all of the allotted time, unless, of course, the Reaper tasked with doing the work is Sutcliffe, in which case all of the work is completely blown off and forced onto another Reaper. Would I say that your notes were exceptional compared to that of your co-workers? Indeed, regrettably so. I suppose I am inclined to give you more than what was originally bargained for. However, that leads to a very slippery slope, does it not? For starters, suppose word were to get out of what I've already given you. Sutcliffe would never let me hear the end of it. Not only this, but I believe that she would attempt to force me into making a similar deal with her. Indeed, she would go that far. She's done it before, in order to get to her beloved Bassie, as she calls him. How absurd. If you were to keep your mouth shut, I might be more inclined to reward you further. However, there is no guarantee that the other Reapers wouldn't find out about it, and then the both of us would be in trouble. I realize that I haven't heard what you're asking for yet. However, if they were to find out what you asked for next, they would also come to realize that I'd given you 3 kisses prior as a result of your hard work. And if that were to happen, you and I would be at risk of losing our jobs, or worse, being forced into unpaid overtime. I'm sure that would not interest you in the slightest. After all, you seemed somewhat motivated by the idea of doing unpaid observation earlier. Indeed, it would be rather awful. So tell me, is what you want really worth it? It is. Very well, then, allow me to hear what you're proposing. I beg your pardon? You want what, exactly? You want me to go out with you? What on earth is that supposed to mean? You want to go on a date? You do realize that dates are meant to be romantic, correct? And you think this is appropriate to occur between a superior and a co-worker? Why exactly is that? I realize that you find me attractive, however the feeling is not mutual. So what? So it would be a waste of both of our time. You would be chasing after someone who is out of your reach, and I would be stuck listening to you for an entire evening. Yes, an evening or a morning or an afternoon, regardless of when it happens, it is completely inappropriate and a waste of time. We should refrain from such activities. I beg your pardon? For the record, no one shoved a stick up my arse. I simply prefer to follow the rules and avoid spending any unnecessary time with people who annoy me. Is that understood? I'm no fun. Work is not supposed to be fun. An afterlife like this is not supposed to be fun. It is supposed to be a sort of punishment for what we did in life. Though some deceased individuals believe that death is punishment enough, others would argue that death is the easy way out of an otherwise difficult life. It is rather simple in some cases. For instance, if you're killed by someone, if they decide to do it in a quick, painless way, it's the easy way of avoiding an otherwise painful death or a painful life. So there is some higher being that decides that our death just wasn't punishment enough, that we have to work even harder for any shred of happiness. And it is utterly ridiculous, but that's just the way our world works. I am not being grim. I am not being pessimistic. I am simply stating the facts of how our world works. If you have an issue with this, you're free to leave. Why would you do that? Why else? To get away from my grim, pessimistic rambling. Besides, you ought to be heading home soon, correct? Your shift is over, and we've finished with our notes. You wish to stay. And why is that? I would advise you against speaking to me in such a manner. Saying that I am cute when I'm annoyed is highly inappropriate. I am your superior. You are my subordinate. You should not be talking to me in such a manner. Why not? For starters, I am not interested in you in a romantic sense, as you seem to be with me. Second, if anyone were to find out about this, they might blame me for the situation and claim that I was making these comments at you when you requested that I refrain from doing so, and if that were to happen, I'd be in a lot more trouble than you would be. Yes, I am genuinely worried about losing my job over some red-haired reaper pretending that I was the one making you uncomfortable. Yes, You are making me uncomfortable by saying these things. Why do you think? You remind me of Sutcliffe with your ill-timed, inappropriate comments. Oh? You don't think you act like Sutcliffe at all? And why is that? Never say those words again. Because, dear, Sutcliffe is not fabulous, as you say she is. She is annoying. She is completely annoying and distracting at all times with both her comments and her behavior, and she is the furthest thing from a hard worker I've ever seen in all my days. You are not like Sutcliffe, and she is certainly not fabulous. Did I say that you are not like Sutcliffe in those regards? Believe me, I did not mean it as a compliment. I simply meant that you're not nearly as bad as she is. It may not have been what I said, but it is what I meant, and you must take it as I meant it. I am certainly not attempting to compliment you. You are infuriating in a completely different manner. I most certainly do not love you. Now, unless you want to end up like Sutcliffe and only have safety scissors as your death scythe, I recommend that you go home now. Goodness. As if one day wasn't bad enough. How on earth am I supposed to tell them that we have another assignment together?